Do y'all know how hard it is to have a invisible disability? Like, I never really noticed the difference between invisible disabilities versus the physical ones, right? Until one day I was working in my store and I was overstressed and I had gotten super dizzy. I couldn't stand up. So I asked one of my associates to go and get a wheelchair for me. And I sat in the wheelchair and, I was doing my job, rolling around expertly at that. And I kept asking people, hey, do you want any help? 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 And everyone's like looking down at me. No, I'm good. No, thank you. I'm fine. I can get it myself. And I'm like trying to, reach for stuff. They're like, I'm good. Just stay where you are. Right. And I found it to be weird because I was always disabled. The whole time I had been working in that store, I had suffered immensely due to mental disabilities that are so severe that it affects my physical ability to work. And it was those invisible mental disabilities that brought me into that wheelchair. But I didn't get acknowledged for being disabled or even treated in a particular way until I was sitting in the wheelchair. And it both made me feel worthless and useless because I wasn't a person anymore. I was like a object sitting in the wheelchair. But it also made me feel unheard and unseen because nobody even acknowledged the fact that I could be somebody with a disability until they saw me sitting down. That is something that I still struggle with today. I still struggle with being acknowledged as somebody who is disabled because 95% of the time I'm happy. 95% of the time I'm joking. 85% of the time I'm passively making jokes about things that are really fucking me up. And the thing that bothers me is nobody takes the time to ever ask me how I'm doing. Nobody sits down and says like, hey, I noticed that you've been stressed this week. Is there anything you want to talk about? That's just not something that happens in my life often. I have 2 people in my life who do it often, and I'm appreciative to those 2 people. However, I also feel like a burden to those 2 people because they're the only 2 people that do it. When they don't do it, I notice. We all have lives, and I'm sure I've done it to them because I'm not always sad. But when they don't say anything, I notice because a good portion of the people that are in my life never take the time out to notice me because I don't have a physical disability. I'm not limping around. I'm not, my leg's not broken. When I had surgery, clearly I was physically incapable of doing things. But as soon as I got to a point where I could do things again, it was just like, oh, all right, you don't need any help. And that's how everyone has pretty much been treating me. And unbeknownst to them, I'm still recovering from my surgery. Like, it takes 6 months to a year to fully recover. So there are things that my body isn't able to do. Compound that with the fact that it's been a nightmare and a handbag to get my hormones on time. So I'm not even hormonally correct. Now I'm not physically correct. And mentally I'm falling apart. And most people don't stop enough, to say like, hey, how are you? Are you able to assist me? Are you able to hear this? Are you able to? Nobody asks me what I'm able to do. They just assume. And when I don't do it, I don't care. Or when I'm short with them after telling them that I can't do something and they ignore this request, now I'm rude. I'm telling you, y'all, being disabled fucking sucks in general, but having a invisible disability has got to be the worst thing ever. Because everybody walks past you day by day and they don't even notice. It's an uphill battle. Ask your friends how they doing, y'all. Don't be rude. Ask your boyfriends, your friends, your co-workers. Don't just assume.